Hello, friends, and welcome back to Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett, and today I have a great interview and really a product overview that I want to share with all of you guys. Now, if you're in the mortgage business and maybe the real estate, you definitely should know about Homebot, which is what we're going to talk about here today. It's been a great tool for our organization, and I'll tell you, the whole reason I got involved with Homebot is because I kept hearing about it from everybody else in the industry. Every conference I went to, every strategic roundtable I went to, they were talking about Homebot and the value of it. And so we've been in a relationship with Homebot for quite some time here at our organization. And I thought it would be good to circle up with my two guests here and just talk a little bit about, what Homebot is. And then more than that, like, how is it relevant today in 2024 in this market? A lot of people, I think, may have thought when Homebot first rolled out, super important. The market's been really tough the last 2 years. People tend to be cutting back on what they think are kind of, extra, expenses that might add to their business. But I think right now might be one of the most important times. I know it's for sure the most important time to be in front of your database, and Homebot is one of the best ways to do that. But I want to bring on and introduce Meg Griesser. Did I get it right, Meg? I want to bring on Meg and Kathlyn Sennett from Homebot to talk a little bit about not just the product. This is not intended to be an infomercial by any stretch of the imagination. I don't like doing infomercials on the podcast here, but sometimes there's products that are just so important to the marketplace that I want to make sure I highlight them, because it's more than a product, it's a sales tool. And it's something that can really help people stay in front of their database in a way that's meaningful to your clients. So you guys, welcome to Market Shares. Thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Thanks for having us, Tony.
Yeah, thanks.
We're pumped to be here. We've seen past episodes, so we're honored.
Big fans.
Big fans.
All right, you're regular watchers of Market Shares. Love it. It's funny. I go to a lot of conferences, and a lot of people see the content from Market Shares, but a lot of times they see it on my social media, and they're like, "Oh, I watch your podcast," and I'm like, "Do you watch the podcast or do you watch my 30-second reels on Instagram?" Because there is a difference.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm happy with the engagement that we've been getting. It's always fun to do. So you guys, first of all, thank you for all of your support of my team, because we've worked together now. How long has it been? Do you know how long we've been working with you guys at Homebot?
So the official partnership, I think a little over 2 years. It was like March of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. March is like that month when we get to realize, like, how did the first quarter go, and decide, like, how do we want to invest in our business moving forward, right? It's kind of funny. I was doing my tab renewals for some of my vehicles, and I realized I'm always buying cars around April. It's like, I guess I'll see how the first quarter goes, and that seems to be when I get myself a new car if things are going well. I will say my car is 5 years old at this point, so that gives you an idea of how the market's been the last couple of years. Tony's due for a new car here at some point in the near future.
You're preaching to the choir, sir. Yeah.
I know. We're all in the same boat together. But look, seriously, I do want to talk about, let's get an overview of what Homebot is. There might be people watching this that just don't know what Homebot is. Maybe they've heard of it. But you guys have some amazing stats when it comes to, client engagement with your product. I mean, everybody in the mortgage and real estate business knows and wants to stay in touch with their database, but to get people to open emails is not the easiest thing to do, and you guys have some staggering open rates. So maybe just give a little overview of what the Homebot product is, and give us some of those stats, if you know them off the top of your head, about how much engagement people actually get with their database by using your product.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. So like at the highest of levels, so we refer to Homebot as a home ownership intent platform. So essentially a loan officer loads their database of past and prospective clients in, and then those individuals, if they receive a home, get what we call our home digest every month. If they're a first-time buyer, they get the buyer's report. both experiences are hyper personalized to that individual. So it keeps them coming back, month after month or many times week after week. And of course, the loan officer's branding is all throughout the content. The whole point is we're trying to lead clients to water on these ideas around homeownership that are specific to them. So getting them searching for properties given their actual budget and areas they're interested in, giving them food for thought on how to tap into their equity and what that would look like for them. So it's kind of giving them enough information to get the wheels turning and then serving up the LO as that expert to walk them over that bridge. So because of that personalized nature of the content, we have a 35% engagement rate for highly engaged clients, which means they're at least logging in once a month, as well as at least asked one question in the span of 6 months, I want to say. So with a crazy high level of engagement, I think your average drip campaign gets email drip campaign gets 3 to 5% engagement. So, 35% is substantially higher. And it's just that perception. People view it as their portal to manage their equity. So it's kind of like logging into their bank account. This is now that place they go for their home, which is cool.
Yeah. What I really love about, and it's funny is when I get a HomeBot, to my email address for my home, every month, whenever it comes out, and I log into it, fairly often to check it out. And it was just a demo. It was just a demo account. I put in my address, and I don't know if you guys hooked me up, or might have been one of my loan officers that was, paying for it on their own, that signed me up just so I could get an example of what it was. And I still look at it all the time. But what I love about it is, and look, you can still go to, there's other, Zillow or Redfin, and you can look up your information, but yet I still click on the HomeBot every time because I'm curious what their algorithm is saying about what's going on, not just with my home's equity, but in my marketplace. And then what I really do like the tools that you guys built in there to create engagement, where it's showing someone, hey, if you were to sell today, this is how much equity you have, this is how much cash you could put towards a new purchase, so on and so forth, which does make people go, okay. It triggers ideas that they might not have otherwise thought about. And I'm assuming that's where you're referring to getting the engagement, right? Them asking questions, more clarity around those sorts of trigger points, right?
Yeah. And Beck, I'll let you speak to the activity and aggregating all that piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Because these clients that you have, if you have a larger database, especially, how are you meaningfully engaging with them? And when they have questions, it would be incredible if we lived in a world where they called and texted you with a question. But that's not the case, especially if it's been some time. So HomeBot really keeps that open line of engagement in a really organic drip where you're staying top of mind, your clients is receiving this information from you. And when they have a question, they have a direct line of communication. So Tony, you were talking about seeing your home value there. If they see something different elsewhere and see HomeBot's number, they have a direct line of communication to say, hey, I have a question about this. And that is what we like to call hand raisers it's really, really passive engagement, but then they start to say, hey, I have a question on this, or I was checking this in the HomeBot report, and it often starts conversation. It prompts thought. So that's our goal, is to keep that line of communication open in a really organic way.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think that right now, and we can talk about this a little bit more, but we're going to be coming at some point in the near future into a cycle where a lot of our clients that we've originated loans for in the last couple of years may have an opportunity to lower their interest rate, or people who have an already low interest rate and would like to tap into their equity, but they've been hesitant to do it because the delta is so big right now. I mean, they want to consolidate debt. They maybe even have ran some scenarios where, man, it'd be nice to get these debts consolidated into my home equity or do some improvements to my home. I can't let go of my 4% for a 7.5% rate, but I could maybe let go of the 4% for a 5 7/8 rate if it all made sense. So I think there's that cycle coming. I think we all believe that cycle is coming. And so what we're preaching to our loan officers is now's the time. Really, the time has been always. You should have always been in touch with your database. But look, the reality is not everyone does a great job at it. And so I think we're getting to that point of critical timing where if you haven't been staying in touch with your database in a meaningful way, now is really the time to start to do that. And so maybe talk to us a little bit about, if someone, what do you guys perceive is important right now about getting it in front of your clients? How are you seeing, and with the people that are signing up for your product today, like what's the main reason why they feel like now is an important time to make sure their loan officers are in front of your clients? And then I also want to talk here in a second about partnering with real estate agents, because that's another big part of value with your product that we've seen. But just give me some of the hot buttons. Like, what are you hearing from people in the marketplace about why they're like, we've been hesitant to spend money on this. The market's been tough, but it's really important to us right now. What are some of those reasons?
Yes. Yes, I'm being on the sales side, I'm hearing a lot of this. So the people that have like kind of been holding off, are now like, holding off for budget reasons, are now like, we can't hold off any longer because this shift is going to happen. And one of the head of mortgage that I work with was like, a stat that he was aware of is that 80% of buyers or anyone that's ready to transact will do it with the first loan officer that they work with. And he was like, if we're not staying in front of our database and prospects, like before that shift, or even regardless of the shift, just in general, like our retention rate is going to plummet. So using a tool like Homebot to stay super top of mind in a really valuable, personalized way is going to help it ensure like they get that first seat at the table, that first like chance to be that advisor for their clients when they're ready.
So yeah, one of the things, and we talked about it, before we went live here, and it's something that we talk about a lot, especially in our consumer direct division, but we push out a lot of leads to our loan officers as well. And we all know and have heard the term speed to lead, wins the game. So if everybody out there is trying to go direct to the consumer, which there's definitely a shift with trying to get to the consumer first, especially in light of some of the, real estate settlements and all the NAR stuff, which we've all heard so much about. There is a general feeling that the likelihood of your client getting to a real estate agent and then referred back to you with the same level of consistency you might have been used to might not be the case as we move forward. And buyers agents may not have as much influence as they've had in the past. People may be going direct to sellers. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's definitely a concern there that there may be less influence with the buyer's agent. So you got to get to the consumer first. How is Homebot helping make sure that when people are ready to transact, that you're getting that lead, or maybe even not the lead, just the hint that there might be a lead there that you want to connect with?
Yeah, so Homebot is surfacing all the behavioral data of where your clients are clicking and where their eyes are going. We're surfacing that in real time, and it's actionable. So we're saying, hey, this client just started looking at markets. This client favored a listing. They tuned the value of their home. They've taken these actions. And so we're letting you know this is someone that you'll want to pursue. You're going to want to call them this week rather than chasing someone who's not ready and just trying to prospect, kind of, throwing a dart and seeing where it lands. We're showing you, hey, this is who you should be contacting, because here, look at all the activity that they've taken in the past week. And we actually send all Homebot users kind of a weekly recap of the last 7 days of their account, who's been the most active. You can see exactly where they've been looking. So you want to make that your call us this week. That's what we're seeing loan officers that are really utilizing the platform. But that's where they're seeing value, though, because we know that these transactions, whatever it may be, and especially in this market, there's a lot of thought going into them. People are not just making these decisions overnight. They want to feel informed. They want to feel empowered. And that's what Homebot's giving them. But we're showing the loan officer before they're on the defense with like a credit trigger pull, or that client has time to Google someone else. We're letting them know with this string of activities and bubbling that up with notifications from our platform. Hey, this is someone you might want to pursue. Here's how much activity they've taken. And that's even if they haven't even reached out with a direct message. This could just be where they're clicking. We're going to show you that and let you be that professional that they want to turn to. And this is often way before that decision is made.
And like building on that too. So our products team is rolling out a new like admin experience for the loan officer in their Homebot account. which is basically going to take that activity feed and make it even stronger. So we're going to have like likelihood to sell scores where, kind of like I was mentioning to you before we started, we're going to be taking like a loan to value. We're going to be taking questions they've asked over time, the activity Meg was talking about, as well as I think some third-party data potentially to kind of aggregate what is their likelihood to sell. And we did it for our largest enterprise customer for a 6-month period, I think. And they got like a 70% accuracy score that those individuals would sell in the next 9 months. So huge in terms of speed to lead. I'm like, hey, Homebot's going to tell you, like, these are your top 20 people in your database that have really high scores and likely to sell, which probably means they're going to buy, I would imagine, as well. So making sure you get there first as the LO.
Yeah. One of the things that loan officers ask me about a lot, and, companies that are, our size, we invest in tools that, obviously we partner with Homebot, but in addition to that, we do invest in tools that help us identify trigger opportunities, with our clients, especially our past database, because we service, so many of our loans. We need to, we invested in that servicing right of that loan. And so recapturing that is highly important. But the reality is not everyone has those resources behind them. And one of the things loan officers ask for a lot is, everyone's used to the trigger leads, right? Like, I can monitor someone's credit and see if another mortgage company pulled their credit. If you work for a company that services the loan, you probably get notified that they've ordered a payoff. But by then, it's probably too late. And a lot of people are looking for these very early indicators, and to what you said, like an aggregation of different data points that's going to preemptively determine if a client is ready to transact. And it seems like, there may be more robust ways of getting that information that are very expensive, maybe AI driven, so on and so forth. But for a very reasonable investment, even on an individual loan officer's part, it seems like you're able to at least give them some of that activity for their past clients, where they might otherwise either not have access to it at all because they don't work for an organization that's going to spend the tens of thousands of dollars, to aggregate that data and push it out to them, or they just might not ever have access to it. So, that's exciting to hear that there is a very reasonably priced, even for an individual user, opportunity to get access to some of that data.
Yeah, because like a lot of these big like servicing companies we talk to, like they build their own in-house kind of things where they're seeing, like you said, people pulling credit. I mean, there are other like machine learning type things that they're kind of putting into that algorithm. What's cool about Homebot is, we're trying to make it accessible to everyone. You don't have to work for like a big servicing portfolio company to have access to technology like that. And it's really built on what the customer is telling you. It's not just, hey, they got divorced, they might be looking for a new home. Like, this is them telling you what they're interested in by their activity in Homebot, which is unique.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about partnering with real estate agents, because one of the coolest things that I found when we first talked about bringing Homebot on board is the opportunity to partner with your real estate agents and bring their database, offer Homebot essentially to their database of clients as well, not only helping them generate more leads, but co-branding you as the loan officer in that process. So maybe can you speak to that a little bit and what sort of success you're seeing with that part of the business?
Meg's bread and butter.
Yeah, absolutely. So loan officers, when they realize the cost of Homebot and the cost to partner with them on the platform compared to some other co-sponsorship costs that we're aware of, it is really relatively low, especially for agents to get on with their own account. If they pay $25 a month or partner with a lender and they can upload 500 clients, that is one of the most valuable ways for them to also stay in touch with their clients, which a lot of the benefits that loan officers see with the platform, agents are going to see as well. They're going to have those same insights Kathlyn was talking about. They're going to be bundled. They have that prospecting list that's right in front of them. the engagement that we see is really hard for them to replicate with maybe some communication that they're crafting on their own, and Homebot can be used in tandem with that. So they're not having to pull all these numbers and send these reports. It is an automated system, so it's pretty hands-off. There's just a lot you can do proactively to stay in front of folks. So we're hearing loan officers, they get really excited they can partner with their agents. They're co-brand on those reports. So when there are financing questions about tapping into equity or questions about their rate, that loan officer is right there. So when a client has a question, it goes to both the agent and the loan officer. So everyone's kept in the loop. That loan officer can help their agent partner out. And it's really just a great way to connect. And we hear loan officers saying, hey, it's my excuse to pop into my agent's office once a month. The first month, we're going to get onboard to Homebot and help them with their client, show them the system. I've been using it. I believe in it. I'm going to share it with them. The next month is, hey, let's walk through your activity feed. Have we called that client? Using it as an excuse to stay in touch. But then also, as for the loan officer, when those CMA requests come in, so clients can actually challenge the value of their home on the platform. If they see one and they think it's worth something else than what they're seeing, everything's editable. They can tune it, request a CMA. That goes right to their loan officer. Now, when their loan officer has that and they're partnered with an agent, they can also pass it back to that agent within Homebot. So we try and make it really seamless to kind of have that link connected within the product. And I had a loan officer recently say he started sending out a report. He added an agent new to Homebot, and he got a CMA request about a week later. He passed it to her. The agent and the borrower connected and found out, she actually was in a really good selling position and listed her home. So then there's a listing lead that loan officer passed to the agent. And then in turn, they had a purchase lead on the LO side. So just small ways that we're just keeping that, again, value add to the agent partner at a low cost. And they see a lot of the same benefits that loan officers see with the platform and the engagement.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I have a more challenging question. So, Homebot will show someone the housing trends in their market. And that's always been very positive, at least historically, right? I mean, home values have continued to go up, which is a little crazy. I'm going to talk in one of my future episodes about, how home affordability has gotten completely insane. Inventory still super low. Number of total transactions actually quite low right now. However, values keep going up. And so if I'm a consumer, I love seeing that my value keeps going up. But I have to imagine it works both ways. I mean, if values do soften, then a borrower is going to see that perhaps, either their home's value has gone down or perhaps the value in their state or their local market has softened a little bit. What's your thoughts around that? Do you get feedback on that? Is that a positive? Is it a negative? How do you respond to people that ask questions about that? Because I know it's come up, for us before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like that question because, it's reality. The point of the tool is to provide value to people and give them a legitimate sense of where things are at. So it's not always going to be what it was for the past 3 years of just like an upward incline of your value. It is what it is. My husband and I bought a house in August, and it is stayed pretty consistent in our Homebot digest of like where it's valued. And you know what? We assumed that, and that's fine. I didn't think it was going to be skyrocketing forever. But I will say the people that have been buying more recently, I think they have a realistic sense of that. The people who've had the home for a while and then see that their home is maybe starting to flatten or trend down. I know I've heard this from Meg, and I've heard from other loan officers or from loan officers directly that it's actually like inspired people to be like, well, crap, like, should I be selling now then? Like, because maybe not. I'm not going to get much more equity in the near term. And there isn't a lot of inventory, now might be the time to strike. So I don't think it's really caused like too much friction, really. Again, it's supposed to be like a legitimate, accurate lens into your asset and be a conversation starter with your LO.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm glad you point that out. I mean, I think there are a lot of people who, especially those that might want to relocate to a different area or something like that. Those are the kind of people who might be susceptible to, hey, things have flattened out. Things might have even started to decrease. Maybe it's only in my market, right? Maybe it's happening, where I live, but it's not happening in the state that I want to move to or the other part of the state that I want to move to. So timing the market right, could give them early indicators of that. That's a really good point. I also think that I like, look, the facts of the reality is reality, right? I mean, it is what it is. If values are dropping as a consumer, I want to know that. I don't want to be delusional about what's happening with my home's value. And I think that even if we do get into a refinance cycle, especially one where people are looking to take cash out, if there is a softening in the market at some point in the future, we want them to have realistic expectations of how much equity we can help them access, I also think that it could be a good conversation starter with your clients. If you know that values have dropped, someone wants to do a cash out refinance, well, now might be the time to get that home equity line of credit in place. It could be get people off the fence, to your point. And, I just think overall, we're all looking for legitimate reasons to reach out to our clients and touch base with them. And if nothing else, Homebot, in my opinion, is not only a super valuable tool for our clients, just for their own, for them to read and review and digest the information, but it also gives us an opportunity to call, say, hey, did you get your Homebot report? Have you been enjoying that? Here's what I've been noticing in the marketplace. Are you seeing the same thing? All of these different conversations can be driven from that. So I think that that's very valuable. Now, we didn't talk about this, but can you give a sense of what the investment is for an individual loan officer? I'm sure for corporate accounts and larger companies, that maybe they provide part of it, they subsidize it. There's all sorts of different pricing you might see out there. But just for like that individual loan officer that just says, hey, this is something I'd like to take action on without giving an exact number, like give us a ballpark of what the investment is so people can realize this is a very affordable thing that you could incorporate into your business if you can.
Totally. Yeah. So it's around, it's on our website. I can just say it. It's $200 for an individual loan officer to sign up for Homebot, and they can load up to, is it 300 clients. And obviously they can scale beyond that for additional cost.
Okay.
The individual plans, it's $200 a month for Homebot.
Yeah. So $200 a month. Or less potentially, like I said, depending on how you're engaged or how your company might be engaged with Homebot, but $200 a month in order to give this tool to 300 of your top past clients. You can scale it up from there. It's not very expensive. You add real estate agents in, I think Maggie said $25 investment on the realtor's part. You're co-branded on that marketing as well and have insights into those activities. So to me, it's one of the least expensive investments that you can make that will have the most impact in your business. And look, I said I don't want this to be an infomercial. It's hard not to talk to these two lovely ladies from Homebot and not have it sound like a commercial. But you guys, this is a product that I was raving about before I ever met either of them and we signed our agreement. I helped bring this technology to our company and have been a huge champion for people to sign up and use it. And look, we do have loan officers invest in Homebot if they want to use the tool. But it's, in my opinion, if I was originating loans, there's no way that I wouldn't have this going out at least to, 300 to 500 of my top past clients. Doesn't have to go to everybody necessarily, but you know who the ones are, that are most likely to transact again, that you have a good relationship with, and people that you intend to follow up on. I would seriously consider this. My relationship with Homebot aside, they're not paying me for my endorsement.
I was going to say, hey, you on an infomercial.
Yeah, well, look, it's just one of those things that I think loan officers should do. I tell them that all the time. When I hear of a loan officer that says, I don't want to spend the $200, I'm like, how much do you make again on one transaction? And how many people do you need to transact in order to pay for this for the year? Like one? It's kind of a no-brainer when you actually do the math. I'm kind of a math guy. So to me, the math is really simple. And I think everyone should do it. But you guys, any final thoughts? Anything that we didn't touch on today that you think would be important for the audience to think about as far as, we got loan officers, we got realtors watching this. Any other pieces of advice that you can think of?
I think, I mean, not being a loan officer myself, obviously we're kind of like a third party talking to a lot of LOs, which is cool because we get to hear from agents and loan officers on what's working. And I think a lot of it has been, and Tony, I feel like I've heard you say this on many of your clips and podcasts, is like getting back to the basics and really owning that and like just getting sharp on what we know works. And Homebot, albeit maybe not something people used, years ago, it is now becoming like a basic core tool that people are using to remain successful, to stay top of mind. So that's just kind of been the running theme that I've been hearing, of just like focusing on reasons to get in front of people and doing so in a way that is valuable and continues to show you're an advisor and kind of like the light in this chaotic time for people.
Yeah, 100%. And I did talk a lot about getting back to basics, right? Because the reality is nothing's changed in this industry. I mean, new technologies have come, Homebot being one of them. But at the end of the day, we need relationships with our clients. And when I talk to loan officers, one of the things I hear is, well, I haven't talked to my database in a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. And it would just be awkward. Even though I did their loan, like I haven't been in touch with them. Like, how do I start that conversation? Well, let me give you one idea. For $200 a month, you can send a Homebot report to every one of your clients. And then it's a really easy script. When you call to follow up with them, all you got to do is say, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but I recently signed you up for this Homebot report. I don't know if you got it. If you didn't notice it, go back and look in your email, open that up. This is a gift that I've provided to you so that you can stay in touch with exactly what's going on, not just with your home, your equity, but also what's going on in your neighborhood and trends around the real estate market. I want you to have this as a gift and check it out. Let me know your thoughts about it. And if I see anything that really jumps out at me in the future, I'll reach out to you and, we can talk about what's going on with your home's value and just see if there's any way that I can bring additional value. I mean, I can't think of a better way to create a really easy intro to reconnect with your clients than enrolling them in this technology if you're not already using it. So look, there's your sales tip for the week. I mean, spend $200 a month and have a reason to call all of your past clients while also giving them a great amount of value. So look, I love your guys' product. I think you guys are both great. You have been so supportive of me, personally, and our organization as we've worked together. So, not only is Homebot a great product, their customer service, their dedication to helping you implement the tool that they provide is great. And I couldn't be a bigger fan. And I think loan officers that don't use this tool, there's only a handful of tools out there that I endorse at this level. Mortgage Coach is one of them. Homebot is one of them. We have both of them. I pushed hard to get both of those integrated here at our organization. So, it's a staple. Like you said, it's become one of the basics in my opinion. So check them out. And, if you're looking for a reason to connect with your clients, if you want to bring value to your clients, if you want to be part of helping them manage their wealth and then giving them tools that are going to educate them about what's happening in their marketplace, give them ideas about what they could do potentially with their equity, there's not a better way to do it, in my opinion. So you guys, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on Market Shares. For those of you who are part of our listening or watching audience, we do have a growing number of people who listen to the podcast on some of the platforms that are out there. So if you're listening or watching, check out Homebot and do yourself a favor, invest in your business. I don't know if there's, long-term contract. Is there long-term contracts? Do they have to commit to long-term with you guys? What's that look like?
For an individual, it's month to month. Obviously, the enterprise partnerships like we have with you guys is the annual, but
yeah, you got me locked in. I know how that goes.
You can't tell guys he's locked in.
Yeah, I'm locked in. But we do have to renew every year, which we've done. But so there you go. It's $200. It's month to month. I mean, give it a shot. Bring some value to your clients and see if this doesn't help you win a few new transactions. Look, I know I was that loan officer who, when I got busy or I got distracted, I just didn't stay in touch with my database. And we all know we need to do it. So this could be a great reintroduction. You could even send them like a nice reconnecting letter from the heart, introducing that you've sent this to them and that you're going to follow up and get their feedback about it or something like that. I mean, so many ways to leverage this for $200 a month. No brainer. You guys, thanks again for your time. For all of you, you will see our next episode of Market Shares on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, like it comes out every single week. I'll see you then. Thanks.